Welcome to Movie Shortens. Follow us today to a 2008 American fantasy adventure film called The Spiderwick Chronicles. Before we start, be aware, there are spoilers. The movie begins with a scene where Arthur Spiderwick walks into a room, jots down some notes in a book, and seals it. 80 years later, Helena Graces, a divorced woman, and her children, Mallory, the twin sons, Jared and Simon, move into an old house which is left for her by her great-grand-aunt. While Jared is upset with the move and left alone with the care outside, a noise in the bush nearby scares him off. After entering his room, Jared starts whining about the house with his brother. A family picture on the wall reveals the story of his great-grand-aunt, Lucinda Spiderwick, who claims that her father, Arthur Spiderwick, was abducted by fairies. She was sent to a sanatorium nearby for the rest of her life. While the family is having dinner in the kitchen, Helena and Mallory realize their belongings have been lost. Mallory thinks Jared is behind this, and both start shouting as he denies it. After learning that his father cannot come to see him, Jared gets angry as he assumes that Helena has made his father change his mind. When everyone leaves, Jared hears a noise in the kitchen and starts hitting the wall with a broom, suspecting something is inside. After Helena steps in scolding him and leaves, another noise suddenly comes from the wall. Mallory grabs a broom and unintentionally collapses a part of the wall, revealing an old dumbwaiter which contained Helena and Mallory's stuff. While cleaning the mess, Jared finds a key and decides to go upstairs by the dumbwaiter. He reaches an abandoned room where he finds a chest with a book in it. Now, while a text appears on the table telling him to leave, his flashlight suddenly turns around, scaring him away. When Jared returns and tells Simon what happened upstairs, Simon doesn't believe him. As he goes to bed and opens the book, a tremor radiates from the house, following with roars echoing from outside. Despite sensing unusual things happening around, Jared hides in the footlocker and still decides to read the book. The book is a field guide written by his great-grand-uncle, Arthur Spiderwick. In the book, he wrote there are fantastical creatures, invisible in plain sight, living among them. However, Arthur befriended them and compiled all of their secrets in a field guide. Arthur also added that the book must be safe out of Muggurath's hand, a shape-shifting org. While Jared is reading, Mallory in another room suddenly starts to cry out in pain as her hair is weaved and tied to the bed. When the twins come over to see, Mallory thinks that Jared is behind all of this. Jared seems to realize what is happening. The very next day, Jared comes to ask Simon about the word appease, as he learns that there is a brownie living with him that needs to be appeased. Mallory thinks that Jared is out of his mind and goes inside with Simon. At this point, Jared sees something approaching him. As he steps into the zone drawn by a circle of rocks, it immediately stops. A while later, Jared goes upstairs along with some crackers. He decides to sit nearby to observe, but falls asleep. After he wakes up and finally finds a brownie, the creature introduces himself as Thimbletack, who is supposed to protect the field guide. He reveals that the circle around the house was made to protect the book, and immediately gets angry after learning that the book has been opened. Soon, Jared looks at the window and sees Simon is being dragged to the woods by the invisible creatures. With a piece of glass given by Thimbletack, he can clearly see a group of goblins led by Red Cape is abducting his brother. Jared unhesitantly puts the book to his backpack and runs to the woods to save his twin. When he reaches the goblins' campsite, Simon is already held captive in a cage. While hiding under the tree, Jared becomes allied with a hobgoblin named Hawksquill, who is also held captive in a cage and has an obsession with eating birds. Hawksquill is determined to take revenge on Muggurath as he has killed his family. After being released, Hawksquill spits into Jared's eyes to give him the ability to see creatures in the magic world. As they are approaching Simon's cage to free him, the goblins start to summon Muggurath, our villain, who appears to be a harmless old man. He asks Simon about the book and learns that they have mistaken Simon for Jared. After discovering a photo of Simon with his parents, Muggurath threatens Simon to bring the book to him, or else he will find his parents. As Simon is released, Jared overhears that Muggurath is going to kill his family anyway. On the way home, the twins see each other and start fighting over the book, as Simon thinks their family will be safe if they give it to Muggurath. Seeing that, the goblins chase after the twins to get it. The brothers run home hastily, but Simon unfortunately gets bitten. Just then, Mallory shows up out of the protection circle with a sword in her hand, which draws attention from the goblins. Now she has to fight against the goblins that she cannot see. Mallory manages to get into the circle and uses the glass to see through. She starts to believe Jared. Now, while Simon is staying downstairs with his wound, Jared and Mallory find out that the house is surrounded by hundreds of goblins. Having learned about the book, Mallory suggests giving the book to the goblins to keep themselves safe. However, Thimbletack gets furious and shows up to stop her. He reveals that if Mugglerath knows all the secrets in the book, they will all die. At this point was Simon's idea. The children destroy the book by setting it on fire in front of the goblins and Mugglerath, who is now in the shape of a raven. To their surprise, the book cannot be burnt, as it has a charm on it. They finally decide to seek help from the great-grand-aunt, Lucinda, who is currently in Woodhaven Sanatorium in the town. To get there, they have to enter a secret tunnel underground. Under Thimbletack's request, Jared puts the field guide back into the chest and then heads to the sanatorium with Mallory. Starting the plan, Simon distracts the goblins by calling them to one side of the house, while Jared and Mallory sneak and run to the tunnel. Unfortunately, the goblins quickly realize it and start chasing after them. Meanwhile, Simon finds out the way to kill the goblins without tomato sauce and salt. He and Thimbletack also learn that Jared has switched the field guide with another book and brought it to Aunt Lucinda, asking her to destroy the book. On the way, pursuing the two siblings, Redcap has the troll chasing after them in the tunnel. Mallory and Jared hastily run to the end of the tunnel and make it to the ground as the troll follows them and gets killed by a truck. En route, Jared and Mallory get caught by Helena. Back home, Simon and Thimbletack are making a lot of tomato bombs. Eventually, Mallory and Jared reach Lucinda, who is terrified after Jared shows her the book and tells them to go inside immediately. In her room, Lucinda starts to tell the siblings about the day her father was taken away. One day, her father was trying to save her from the goblins, but ended up being abducted by the sylphs, as what he knows put them in danger. Despite the fact that he promised to come back, Aunt Lucinda never sees her father again. She adds that Muggleroth will stop at nothing to get the field guide, and the only one who could help them at the moment is her father, Arthur Spiderwick, who she believes is still alive and held captive by the sylph. At this point, while she is handing Jared the book, Redcap breaks in trying to take it and manages to take some pages. Just then, the security and Helena show up. Later on, Muggleroth is pleased as he now has a page about the charm of the protection circle. He will get the book when the moon rises. In the meantime, Hogsquill overhears it and decides to warn the children. Elsewhere, Helena drives their children home and starts scolding them as she thinks they hate the house. Jared, who is rather living with his dad, expresses his hatred towards Helena. When Jared and Mallory get to the house, the goblins surrounding the house earlier have left. Now, Hogsquill shows up and tells the children Muggleroth's plan to break the circle when the moon rises. He also reveals if Muggleroth possesses the book, he will kill all the species in the realm, just like he did to his family. At this point, Hogsquill spits into Mallory and Simon, giving them sight. Jared starts to call his father for help as he promised to bring Jared with him, but after being told that his father is with someone else, Jared is broken. Meanwhile, more goblins are coming to the house. They have to find Arthur as soon as possible. Jared has an idea to summon Arthur Spiderwick's pet, a griffin, to get to his place. When the griffin arrives, the siblings get on it with the field guide and start an extraordinary ride to the land of the sylph. When arriving at Arthur's place, they see him unaged and surrounded by millions of sylphs that make him unaware of the time he spent here. When Jared shows Arthur the field guide, Arthur leads him to a quiet place to talk, as it is not safe to show the book to the sylphs. Here, Jared convinces Arthur to destroy it, as it brings nothing but misery to his daughter, who has been living the rest of her life without a father. However, it's not until Arthur opens the book that he realizes that the book has been switched by Thimbletack. The siblings have to go home soon before Muggleroth swoops into their house. But after learning that the sylphs would not let them leave as they know too much, Jared regrets that he was talking badly with his mom earlier. Arthur later helps the siblings to escape by distracting the sylphs with the fake book, while Jared is summoning the griffin and flying away. Back at the house, Helena arrives home while the goblins are outside waiting for the moon to rise. The siblings quickly manage to get in the car and drive the family inside the circle to get rid of the goblins. While Helena is still confused, Jared quickly tells Simon and Mallory to get tomato sauce and salt. Jared convinces his mom of the truth by having her look outside through the glass. The family starts to defend the house with salt, arm themselves with tomato sauce, and steal knives. Outside, as the moon is rising, the goblins manage to break the circle and start to swoop in. In the meantime, the family encounters the attack in every direction and is quickly outnumbered by the goblins. They have to run to the music room. Here, Muggleroth comes up from the ground in the form of a beast and chases after the family. They quickly get to the kitchen where they manage to make a tomato sauce bomb by putting all of the sauce into the oven. Just in time, Muggurath and the goblins come to the kitchen, but the family is one step ahead. At this point, Simon ignites a bomb by setting a fire leading to the oven. As a result, the goblins are all burnt and dead before they are aware of what is happening. After the family steps out, Muggurath is nowhere to be seen. The book is still safe in Jared's hands. To their surprise, their father Richard opens the door and shows up. Before handing the book to his father, Jared finds out Richard is actually Muggurath in disguise and stabs him. Soon enough, he returns to his beast form and chases after the boy. Jared quickly runs to the secret room by the dumbwaiter, followed by Muggurath in a giant snake form. Jared manages to get out of the house and climb to the roof. He then tosses the book for Muggurath, who is now turning into a raven. Right after Muggurath is able to catch the book and fly away, Hogsquill suddenly grabs him and eats him alive as revenge. In the end, Jared reconciles with his mom and chooses to stay with the family. Weeks later, Helena brings Lucinda back to the house, where she sees her father, Arthur Spiderwick, arriving with the sylphs. However, he reveals that he can only visit her in a short time, as he will turn to dust if he stays. Lucinda asks to come with them and holds his hand as she transforms back to a child. The family watches Aunt Lucinda and her father get carried away. Like and subscribe to watch more videos like this, and don't forget to turn on your notifications. That really helps my channel. Thanks for watching.